Imagine walking to the same river every morning knowing there was a chance you would not come back. Not because of war, not because of disease, because something was waiting, something faster, something stronger, something that had already noticed you. And the worst part was that you didn't know where it was. 2 million years ago this was normal. Every trip for water carried risk. Every patch of tall grass concealed possibility. Every strange sound demanded attention. The world our ancestors inhabited was not merely dangerous, it was intelligent. Predators were making decisions, leopards were making decisions, hyenas were making decisions, crocodiles were making decisions, and many of those decisions involved humans. Most people imagine early humans as primitive hunters slowly learning to dominate nature. The fossil evidence tells a different story. For much of our history, humans occupied a position modern people rarely imagine. Not hunter, hunted. Several early hominin fossils contain puncture wounds matching the teeth of large cats. Others show damage consistent with crocodile attacks. Some skulls preserve marks that align with the spacing of leopard canines so closely that researchers can identify the predator responsible millions of years later. Predators were not occasionally encountering humans. Humans were part of the menu. But this creates a deeper question. Did our ancestors know it? Not intellectually, not scientifically, instinctively. Did they understand that the landscape itself was watching them? The answer may explain some of the oldest behaviors still present in human beings today, because unlike claws or teeth, fear leaves very little behind. It does not fossilize, it leaves traces somewhere else, in behavior. Start with the eyes. Human beings are unusually sensitive to eyes staring at them. Across cultures, people report discomfort when they feel watched, even when no threat exists, even when the observer is completely harmless. Researchers studying attention and threat detection have repeatedly found that the human brain allocates resources toward eye-like patterns faster than many other visual stimuli. The response often begins before conscious awareness. Most people assume this is social behavior, part of communication, part of cooperation, but some evolutionary psychologists believe part of the explanation may be much older. For millions of years, survival depended on detecting predators before predators detected you. And predators often reveal themselves the same way. A pair of eyes emerging from concealment. The feeling of being watched may not be paranoia. It may be ancient mathematics. A brain calculating probabilities it does not consciously understand. Then there is darkness. Modern humans are surrounded by artificial light. Streetlights, screens, cities that never truly become dark. Our ancestors had none of that. When night arrived, visibility collapsed, and many predators became more active. A leopard does not need much light. A hyena does not need much light. Humans do. Researchers studying fear responses consistently find that uncertainty amplifies threat perception. A visible threat is frightening. An invisible threat is often worse. Ancient humans spent hundreds of thousands of years navigating environments where darkness removed information at the exact moment danger increased. The dark was not scary because of imagination. The dark was scary because it worked. Those who treated darkness seriously survived more often than those who did not. And over enough generations that difference matters. But perhaps the strongest evidence comes from water. Every species needs it, which creates a problem. Because every predator knows that too. Modern wildlife researchers describe water sources as ecological bottlenecks. Locations where multiple species are forced into proximity. Prey arrives because it must. Predators arrive because prey must. 2 million years ago, early humans faced exactly the same equation. A thirsty human could avoid a predator for a while. Eventually, they still needed water, and every trip carried uncertainty, not knowing whether the riverbank was empty or whether something beneath the surface had already noticed them. The strange thing is that this pattern still exists. People who have never encountered a crocodile often report discomfort near dark water, particularly when visibility is limited. The emotional response frequently exceeds the actual danger. Researchers call this threat overestimation. The brain treating certain environments as more dangerous than objective conditions justify, but from an evolutionary perspective that may not be a mistake. False alarms are cheap. Being wrong once is expensive. Very expensive, and that logic shaped human survival for an extraordinarily long time. The next clue comes from groups. Human beings are unusually social. We gather. We cooperate. We move together. Anthropologists often explain this through hunting, sharing, and childcare, all of which are important. But there is another possibility. Groups make predators nervous. A single human is vulnerable. 10 humans are unpredictable. Many predators prefer isolation. They prefer separation. They prefer opportunities. Even today, predators frequently target individuals that become detached from the group. The pattern appears across species: zebras, buffalo, antelope, and likely early humans. Some researchers believe one of humanity's greatest survival advantages was not intelligence itself. It was collective vigilance. Hundreds of eyes searching simultaneously, hundreds of ears listening simultaneously, hundreds of brains processing danger simultaneously. One individual might miss something. A group was harder to surprise, and surprise is often what predators depend on, which leads to a strange possibility. Many of humanity's social instincts may have originated as anti-predator technology. Not machines, not tools, behavior. Stay together, watch each other, warn each other, survive together. Then something remarkable happened. Humans began communicating information about threats that were not present. A leopard near the river yesterday. A crocodile near the crossing last week. A dangerous location remembered long after the danger had disappeared. Most animals communicate immediate information. Humans increasingly communicated future risk, and that changed everything. Because once information survives longer than the event itself, fear becomes knowledge. Knowledge becomes strategy. Strategy becomes survival. A predator can kill an individual. It cannot easily kill information. One dangerous encounter could protect dozens of future individuals. One survivor could save an entire group. One lesson could outlive generations. And perhaps this is where humanity began to change. Not physically, mentally. The predators remained faster, stronger, better armed. But humans were becoming something unusual. A species capable of storing danger. Not in claws, not in teeth, but in memory. The question is whether ancient humans consciously understood any of this. The honest answer is probably not. They did not have evolutionary theory. They did not have predator ecology. They did not have neuroscience. What they had was experience. A feeling that certain places were wrong. A feeling that certain sounds mattered. A feeling that certain shadows should not be ignored. Modern people often underestimate instinct because instinct feels irrational. But instinct is frequently compressed history. Millions of encounters condensed into reactions. Millions of successes and failures compressed into emotion. Fear is not always the opposite of intelligence. Sometimes it is intelligence accumulated over enormous stretches of time. And nowhere is that clearer than in humanity's relationship with predators. Because despite everything, despite our cities, despite our technology, despite our distance from the natural world, many of the fears that protected our ancestors are still present. We still dislike unexplained sounds in darkness. We still become alert when something watches us. We still feel uneasy near hidden water. We still pay attention to eyes. The environment's changed. The instincts remained. Which brings us back to the original question. Did humans ever realize they were being hunted? Perhaps not in the way we mean. Perhaps they never sat around a fire discussing ecological relationships. Perhaps they never consciously understood their place in the food chain. But their behavior suggests something just as important. They acted like they knew. They watched. They listened. They gathered together. They avoided certain places. They feared certain conditions. And generation after generation, those behaviors increased the odds of survival. The predators were faster. The predators were stronger. The predators were better designed for violence. Yet most of them disappeared. And we did not. Not because humans stopped being hunted. Not because predators vanished, but because over time humans became exceptionally good at anticipating danger before danger arrived. In a sense, humanity's greatest weapon was never a spear. It was expectation, the ability to imagine a threat before seeing it, to prepare before the attack, to learn from encounters that happened long ago, and to pass those lessons forward. The predators hunted bodies. Humans learned to protect information, and information survives in ways flesh never can. 2 million years ago, our ancestors walked through a world that wanted to kill them. Many of them never made it home. Many became food. Many disappeared without a trace. But each generation left something behind. A warning, a behavior, a memory, a lesson. And over time, those lessons accumulated into something powerful enough to outlast the predators themselves. Which means the strangest possibility is not that ancient humans were being hunted. The strangest possibility is that the fears still living inside us today may be echoes of those hunts. Ancient calculations still running quietly in the background. A survival system, millions of years old. Still watching. Still listening. Still asking the same question it asked long before civilization existed. What is hiding out there, and has it already seen me?